them. We make the community stronger. What I do is something I wish someone had done for me, and I am so grateful I am able to. My name is Meera Batra. I help families see opportunities and succeed. I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer, Live United. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
Keyboard Cat, Hamilton the Pug, and Toast Meets World. These are some of the internet's most beloved pets. With millions of YouTube views, shares, Instagram likes, followers, and fans across the globe.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
All right. What's up, fam? Welcome to the Black Bottom Man Radio Show. I'm your host, Brother Mike. I want to thank everybody for tuning in with us today. We are back for another exciting episode of the BBD Radio Show. And as usual, I am here with my partners in consciousness, my co-host, the lovely Miss Janice. How you doing, Miss Janice?
Very well.
Very well. And of course, our awesome team member, Miss Samantha Glam by Sam Dennis.
Hola.
Hola, mamacita.
¿Cómo está?
How you doing today, Miss Dennis?
Muy bien. Ooh.
Oh,
she had a spot.
See.
That's about as good as you'll get with you, huh?
See. So what's up, ladies? Welcome back.
Thank you.
Y'all ready for another good show?
Yeah.
Ready to give the people what they're looking for?
We are.
How was your weekend?
It was a weekend.
It was a weekend?
It was raining all weekend.
It has been raining, right? It's been a minute since we kind of had the rain. So I'm not complaining about it, you know, like we need water, right? But I don't know if we need it all week, but
it's gonna rain literally all week.
Right, that's what I saw on the forecast as well.
Yes.
Literally all week. But how was your weekend, Miss Dennis? What's popping in the millennial world?
Nothing. You can't do nothing when it's raining like this.
No?
Well, you can, but it's just too much work.
That's what social media is for, right?
Right.
You can get on social media and live your best life.
So does everybody?
They do that every day, huh?
Just the millennials.
Raining for that?
They do that every day.
Right.
All right, so let's send out some invites. We're going to send out some invites, everyone, and invite you guys to come on and hang out with us for a little bit today. Today is going to be a great show. Let me send out a couple more here.
So while you doing that, tell us about your weekend.
My weekend, let's see. What can I remember about my weekend?
It was that good?
No,
Okay.
it was probably that bad. I know Saturday I was home all day, in the house all day. Shabbat Shalom, you know. So I was home all day Saturday, and I think I only ventured out like one time to like go to the store or something. My weekend was, it was cool. It was mundane, you know, nothing to write home about. But it was Gucci. It was Gucci. I didn't do nothing exciting though. Miss Janice, how was your weekend? You work this weekend or? Now see, that's exciting. You made money. The rest of us probably lost money.
True.
You know, you made money. You didn't work this weekend, Miss Dennis?
But I took my daughter to the movies, and you know, going there, you got to spend like minimum $50.
How was that? How was the movies? Well, what movie did you go see? Let me ask that first.
We took the kids to see Incredibles 2.
I want to see that.
It was actually pretty good. Like for a kid movie, it was quite entertaining.
Okay.
I want to see that.
It was good.
I'm trying to see The Incredibles 2. I'm trying to see The Equalizer.
I heard that was good.
Denzel?
Yeah.
Got to be.
Oh, that's out?
Yeah, it came out like this week, right? Like Thursday or
so.
Friday, yeah.
Yep.
And then I also want to see Mission Impossible when that comes out on the 27th. You know, I'm old school, so I got to roll with my boy Tom, you know what I mean? Tom be getting it in, you know what I mean? Doing his own stunts and everything. That man over 50 years old. You know, so for us old heads, we kind of admire that a little bit.
Y'all old heads.
Isn't 50?
Yeah, you know.
What?
50's the new 35.
Okay.
You did look, she's over there like, I don't think so. How would you know? You ain't 35? Huh? You ain't made it there yet. We'll let you know when it gets there. I bet when you hit 50, you're going to be like, no, 50 the new 30.
Right? Living my best life.
Living my best life. Living my life like it was golden.
At 50.
Some are skinny, but rain is good. Trust me, if the Most High takes it away, we'll be very upset. So let's not complain about the rain too much.
Anybody did anything eventful? Call in, let us know about it.
Yeah, call in, let us know what's going on.
Let us know what we're missing.
What we're missing.
Next weekend we can do it. I don't know.
So let's talk current events. What's popping in current events? Now, you know, we didn't let the disclaimer out several times that it's sad that every time we do current events, I'm sure it's going to be some racist times before. People don't understand the levels of this evil. I've seen a little something on that. So you had these black farmers with the soybean seeds, and come to find out that, you know, the white people who was in charge of that gave them fake seeds and then gave the white people the real seeds. So their crops weren't able to grow. I mean, it's one of their old tricks. Yeah, it's an old trick. That's right there with the smallpox blankets.
They're claiming, you know, that it's bogus. You know, they gave everybody the same seeds.
Yeah, of course they are. Of course they are. What else we got going on? Current events.
What about the dozens of bodies that was found in Texas?
Oh yeah, very, very interesting, right? Have you seen anything on that, Ms. Dennis?
I read an article last night about it, actually.
Tell me a little bit about that, Miss, what's your name again, young lady? The lovely Miss Janice. What's going on with that?
I just know they was about to build a school over there, so they found that cemetery. So it's a bunch of African American bodies.
That still had chains on them.
Still had chains.
Still had chains on them,
Yes,
right?
sir.
See, they have buried black people all throughout America. You know, like all the dirt that they've done, killing us, slavery, and the whole nine. And you know, you just bury it and forget about it. Then next thing you know, 100 years later, somebody's trying to build a Royal Farms on that land. And they digging up these bodies. But you know, for me, it's just, I think this is all on the biblical timeline. I think I spoke of that before. But it's sad, man. But at the same time, it's like maybe now they can get a chance to have a proper burial, you know, get some peace. I hope so. You know what I mean? I'm probably being a little optimistic here, but, you know, that's just what I'm hoping, you know, because, you know, that's not a proper burial, man. And, you know, from my understanding of what at least we've learned through society, you know, like, can your soul rest without that proper burial? I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. I don't know.
They said they had plans to move them to a proper like burial site after all the, I guess, investment speaking. The gravesite was actually discovered back in February. It's just now coming out.
Just hitting the news.
American bodies.
Right? Yeah, they fought that probably for months trying to hold that back. Don't tell them. Just tell them it was dogs. It's a pack of stray dogs we found.
Oh,
Isn't that terrible? Yeah, very, very sad. I wonder if people will come forward and try to figure out if it's their relatives from that area, because it's relatives to the people in that area. Like, I'm sure there's people still in that area. And in case they come back, this case who got out his car and went and started some trouble with the brother with his 5-year-old son. Yeah, he parked in a handicapped space, and he didn't have a handicap sticker. So while
stand your ground. Was that the
right, stand your ground, right. So while he was inside the gas station, a white man pulled up and was inspecting his vehicle to see if he had handicap, and he didn't. And then when he came out, he basically started some trouble with him, and the black dude ended up pushing him on the ground, getting him out of his face. And then while he was on the ground, he pulled out a gun and shot him. And then, and he stumbled back into the gas station with his 5-year-old child behind him, and he died. And the Florida police and the state's attorney have decided that they're not going to charge him. Now, if he'd have been black, they'd have charged him, because they'd have said, well, even though he pushed you, that still didn't prove that your life was in danger. You know what I mean? Yeah, you fell on the ground. We could have charged him with second-degree assault or something like that, but it didn't yield you pulling a gun and then shooting him, because you could have just pulled the gun and said, hey, you come near me again, I'm gonna shoot you. But see, he wanted to kill him, because right now they're on a killing spree. They've been released in society to kill us, and black people don't understand that. So be very careful out there when you get into it with these white people. I'm just being honest. You know, they are the ones that have the permits to carry weapons. They don't let black people get them as easily. I'm not saying none of us don't have it, but we don't get it as easily. And they looking to start trouble so they can shoot you, and then they know that the rest of white society is going to be on their side.
Yeah, because that's what to say. Isn't that expected now?
Yeah.
Isn't that what you would expect now?
Right. You got to be very careful out here. You got to be very careful, because this is getting crazy.
So you definitely probably want to think twice.
Think twice. Okay, we got some comments here. What's up, everybody? Appreciate y'all tuning in.
How about the 10 black Washington University freshmen that ate at IHOP?
I'm not familiar with that one.
Yeah, when they left, somebody there called the police to say they didn't pay their bill.
And they did pay their bill.
Yeah, but even when the police pulled them up on the side of the road, like, mostly all of them had their receipts and was showing the police officer, but he still made them all go back. to IHOP.
Made them go back to IHOP. Wow.
So he made them all go back to IHOP, which of course the manager ended up clarifying that they all did pay their bill.
DJ Big Man, I see you. What's up, big bro?
It was one of the workers in IHOP. Yeah. So.
Right. See, this is that fear that I was speaking about. You know what I mean? On the last show. It's a fear that has come over them. And I know where that fear is coming from. It has to do with a lot that their population is not multiplying. They are dying off more than they are, you know, procreating.
Yeah, but it was the fear for them too. The 10 young black kids, they're freshmen.
Sure.
All freshmen, they're out and now they have to deal with this whole situation.
Their lives going to be changed forever.
Right. The biggest terrorist in the United States of America has always been white people. And you heard it here first on the Black Body Man radio show. And I don't care who's offended. I get tired of black people as well as white people being offended by the truth. If you are offended by the truth, then there's something wrong with you. I'm not picking on white people. That's the truth. That's the statistics. The biggest terrorist in the United States of America has always been white people, with the white man leading the forefront and the white woman right behind him. They are terrorists. Many of them are terrorists. Of course, not all of them, but a lot of them are terrorists. I mean, this is a country that was built on racism. It was built on racism, and it still survives on it. So I just wish my people would wake up and face that reality and teach your children properly. Give them the proper education to let them know what they're dealing with. You know, like if your child was going to be amongst a group of wild animals, you would give them some instructions. You know, you would say, be careful when you go to that zoo and y'all go to the open area, because sometimes, you know, the animals might reach out and do something to you. Well, I'm saying your child is walking into a zoo every day in a society full of racist white people. You better give them some instructions on how to deal with it, because it may come their way. We got to stop being scared to face reality. You know, we got to stop being scared. And that's why a lot of these situations keep happening, because we are not talking about it and we are not giving the proper education. You better give them some instructions. Yeah, DJ Big Man. Yeah, we are in a new studio. And the new studio is pretty cool. He says, look like y'all upgraded y'all studio. Nice. We did. Big up for noticing that. Can you slide me that bell, please? Thank you very much. Let me give him a bell. One bell for DJ Big Man. Appreciate you noticing that. Yeah, DJ Big Man. Yeah.
And of course, you know, Baltimore has a new law. No more sodas on the kids' menus.
No more sodas on the kids' menus? Okay, I think I'm with that. That's something good. Whew, finally some good news. Good grief. It's starting to get depressing doing current events. Finally some good news, you know what I mean? Like, we could use some good news. So what else we got in current events? Anything else? What about the one we just saw when we just got here on Facebook? The white woman called the police on the young black girl inside of the grocery store while she was on the phone. She overheard her saying that she's going to sell her food stamps. So the white woman, you know, gets into her conversation and then starts running her mouth to her, telling her she's going to call the police on her because I heard you say you're going to sell food stamps.
She's a taxpayer, so it's her business.
Right, she's a taxpayer, so it's her business. Isn't that crazy? These people are losing their minds. You understand what I mean? They're losing their minds. Like they are so filled with hatred and fear, and it's amazing because it's happened a lot with these white women. These white women are off the charts.
Yeah, every story we talk about, it's a white woman.
It's a white woman. They're losing their minds. Fear. All that fear is getting put on. All that anxiety. You know, just do like the rest of them and take your little Xannies and you know what I mean? Stop going out here messing with these nice black folks. But I'll tell you what, that little young black girl was ready for it, though, wasn't she? Mm-hmm. She told her, you need to mind your goddamn business. Yeah, but it's out of control, man. It's out of control. Like, they're trying to get us in a state of mind where we're going to be fearful to go into a store, you know what I mean, to, you know, be at a restaurant. They're trying to make you be fearful of it, and they're trying to weaponize the police and use the police as their weapon to show you that if you make me uncomfortable, I'm going to use my weapon on you. I'm going to call them boys up and you know what's going to happen. She said, I'm calling the police. I was listening to your conversation.
It's just funny because they're just like adamant on keeping this going. Like, this is just going on and on and on.
It's like every day there's a new additive.
It is.
Hashtag.
It is. And if you remember on the last show when I read the article from the Washington Post, remember the guy focused on, and he was saying they enjoy it. He said this is enjoyment for them. They are enjoying tormenting black people and seeing black people be in fear for their life, knowing the police coming, and the first thing the police gonna do is snatch them up, you know, and ask them what they doing, so forth and so on. So it's enjoyment out of it. It's somehow, it's giving them a power rush, experiencing a power rush by looking at you like, hey, I'll call the police on you. You better calm yourself down, you know. But maybe we should start calling the police first. Beat them to the punch.
You think that'll actually work?
I don't know, but at a minimum, it's going to show the police that we're taking note of what's going on.
Right.
You know what I mean? So if y'all going to accept being bombarded with these bogus phone calls, right? Maybe we'll throw something in there too.
Or we can just use reverse psychology, yes, and call the police. Maybe the law about this police calling to get started quicker.
Yeah, that'd be real good. I mean, I'm still stuck on. I believe they should be charged. I believe they should be charged.
Quicker.
I believe that is the solution. You know, they get charged. They start catching some charges for false, you know, reports. I think that'll calm it down. Because right now they don't face any consequences when they do it. Even when the police come there and find out, you know, that they lied or they hyped it up or whatever, nothing's happening to them. So my thing is, how can you expect any type of change when the police are not going to make them face the reality? I bet if black people was doing this, it'd be some charges.
Of course.
You know, it'd be some charges. So let's look at some comments here. Tuning in. Mr. Herman Miles, what's up, brother? How you doing? Herman, let me read your comment, buddy. So he says, Trump became president and all these white folks looking stupid as hell, doing dumb shit and listening to hip hop and flipped the script on black folks. And everyone got them damn phones out, shaking my head. Yeah, very true, Herman. Very true. Trump got them messed up. My man Marcus Mays, DJ Mays, what's up, brother? Hardcore representing. So DJ Mays says the sun cycle is in and it's turning them inside out. Yeah, I agree, brother. I agree. Marcus is a little deep. He know I know what that means. The sun cycle. Yes, you gotta deal with the conscious brothers in the conscious community. We know a few things. So yeah, that's nice. That's very, very true. You know, big up to Cuzzo Matthew Fletcher. I see you. Appreciate your comment, brother. So yeah, it's getting a little crazy out here. It's getting a little crazy, but you know, the Black Body Man radio show, controversy is Brother Mike's middle name. Somebody got to say something. You know, it's like remember the old joke about, you know, everybody's in the living room and then the cockroach crawls across the TV screen and nobody wants to say nothing. I'm the one that's like, yo, what is that? I'm that dude, you know. I'm the dude that's gonna say something.
Like, I wasn't gonna say nothing.
Yeah, everybody like, I wasn't even gonna say nothing. You know, we just gonna sit here quietly, pretend we don't see it. You know. So anyway, so for everybody tuning in again, welcome to the Black Body Man radio show. So let's clue everybody in what we're gonna talk about today. We're currently going over current events, but I want to tell y'all what the topic is today. So we put out the email Black Body Man, the number 4 letter U at Gmail, for people to send in, you know, things they want to see talked about. So we got an email and a special request. Someone wants to see another universal law. You know, we did a couple shows on the universal laws: law of compensation, law of karma, law of attraction. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to deal with another universal law. So today we're going to go over the law of relativity and then the law of polarity. And I think that is something a lot of us are not familiar with. And I wasn't quite as familiar with it myself. You know what I mean? I had to kind of study up on it, kind of learn what it's about. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. But before we get into that, what else we got going on with these current events? Is there any good news in these current events?
Yes, we just had the Curl Fest this weekend.
The Curl Fest. Tell me about that.
The natural hair.
For all the black queens.
I heard it was like a black woman's heaven out there.
You know that picture that you showed me with all those black women? It was like an aerial shot, and all that natural curly hair out. It just,
brightened your day.
Yeah, it just made my day. Just warmed my heart. You know what I mean? Like. it's nothing better than seeing black women be in a spiritual state of getting along with each other and appreciating each other, looking at everybody's different skin tones. She's dark, I'm light, I'm brown. She's curly, I'm straight. It's a beautiful thing. I love seeing us get back to this state of mind where we are appreciating who we are as a people and how we look. Because the black woman is the first woman on earth. Okay, the black woman should not be trying to imitate any woman on this planet. They are here to imitate you. You understand what I'm saying?
You know what that is?
Y'all the queens.
That's that black girl magic.
That's that black girl magic. Bing, bing, bing. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, they are here to imitate y'all.
And they definitely had a lot of that going on.
Had a lot of that going on.
Prospect Park in Brooklyn. This is actually the fifth. This is the 5th year they did it. It started back in 2014.
Nice. I never even knew about that.
So they do it every year. This was the 5th year.
So they just come out, everybody's looking natural, wearing their ethnic clothes or whatever they choose to wear.
Yes.
And so is it like a party? Is it a picnic or is it music?
Yes, it's a bunch of vendors there and everything.
Vendors serving all these beautiful black women.
So this year was at Prospect Park in Brooklyn.
Nice. Big up to Brooklyn.
Right.
Don't everything happen in Brooklyn? You know, don't you just wish one day you could say that to somebody like, yeah, I'm from Brooklyn. Ain't that what everybody say, right? Everybody in the industries and hip hop and, you know, radio, everybody's from Brooklyn.
Yeah, but can you
Brooklyn on
just
sipping dawn.
Not long ago, like, we wouldn't even wear our natural hair out. Like,
Right.
Perms and weaves.
Perms and weaves. And I mean, you know, y'all kind of know my stance. I prefer natural, you know what I mean? But the weaves do look nice, the ones that get it done right and put that money into it. But I'm just saying, you know, but for me, nothing tops a black woman in her natural beauty. Like, I was born in the 70s, you know what I mean? Grew up in the 80s. So we never saw that. So any black woman that we saw and thought was beautiful, she was in her natural state. Her natural hair, her afro. She might have took the hot comb off the stove and straightened it up a little bit. Every once in a while. But, you know, still she was in her natural state. So I think people of my genre, we have a deeper appreciation for black women looking natural. You know what I mean? Because I think it's beautiful.
It is. It's so beautiful.
You know what I mean? I think it's absolutely beautiful.
I have to admit, like, I didn't know how beautiful it was
until you've seen it. Right. So, and it really hasn't been that type of gathering about like that since probably like the 60s. You know, black women were pretty proud in the 60s, rocking their afros and, you know, black power, putting their fists up. So yeah, nice. I would have loved to seen a video of that. I wonder if they got that on like YouTube or anything.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, check that out. The Curl Fest. See, that right there, that name alone tells you who's at that festival. The Curl Fest, right?
Big curls.
Nice.
Natural.
So I'm gonna send out some more invites here. So is that all we got in current events? That was the only good news in current events, huh? Did you see any other good news in current events?
Not good news, but something that is a little bit close to home with this whole CVS shenanigans.
Okay, talk to me.
A pharmacist got fired for denying a hormone therapy to a transgender.
I did see that.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so there's like this whole like ethical question of whether they can put their beliefs onto somebody else kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Give us your thoughts on that. Pressure.
No, I mean, that's like as a medical, and in the medical field, you can't put your beliefs onto somebody else.
Right.
Like, you have to separate what they do and what you do. You're there for your job.
Right.
And if your job is customer service and helping the patients, then what their medicine's used for, or whatever treatment they're going through, that's none of your business.
So they literally tried to deny the person the medicine? Wow.
Because it was like a hormone therapy for women being dispensed to a male, and I guess the pharmacist made like a big, like, you know, embarrassed them, was like, what do you need this for?
That's ridiculous.
Yeah,
that's out of pocket right there. Wow.
Yeah.
Why do you care, right?
Right.
Like, people seem like in this society they care about like all the wrong stuff, you know, so they care about something like that. But if that same person would have walked outside and somebody would have been beating them up, the pharmacist would have went and got in their car and went home.
Right.
Don't care about that though, right? It's crazy. What's going on? What we gonna do, ladies? What we gonna do with this crazy society?
Don't know.
I don't know. Whatever happened to show up and do the job you're paid to do.
Do what you're supposed to do, right?
But you're supposed to like expect stuff like that. Like when you get into the line of whatever job that you choose, you know, you're expected to uphold whatever job you're supposed to do. And if you can't ethically, you know, abide by whatever you have to, then that's not the job for you.
It's not.
So
What's going on with just people just, what happened to back in the day, you just mind your business? Remember that?
No.
Remember back in the day when people used to just mind their goddamn business, you know, and stop judging everybody. Yeah, stay in your lane, stay in your lane. Why do I care what's going on in somebody else's life? And I don't mean to say that in a harsh way, but you know, but like it's not that serious for me.
Yeah, that's out the window right now.
Right, yeah, like, you know, okay, you are what you are, do what you do. Ain't none of my business.
Right now it's kind of reverse. It's mind everybody's business but your own.
Right. Guys, and that's insane. That is insane. All right, so let's get into this law a little bit. So we are talking the law of relativity today. So before I dive into it, are you ladies familiar with the law of relativity? Now, I'm going to be honest. I was a little familiar with it. But, of course, for the show, I dug a little deeper to, you know, find out what's going on. But do you ladies have any idea what that even means? Anybody out there with us today, if you think you know what the law of relativity means, type it in and let us know what that means to you, if it means anything to you, if you're familiar with it, or if it's the first time ever coming across your ears. I kind of want to, you know, probe some minds today to see, you know, because I really wasn't that familiar with it. Now, once I studied up on it a little bit more, I'm like, okay, I am familiar with it. I just wasn't familiar with the actual term law of relativity, you know what I mean? But what do you ladies think of when you hear that? Like, you know anything about it, or?
First off, the first thought that I had was like, for every action, there's a reaction. Like, there's always that connection.
Okay.
But beyond that, that's about as far as I go for that one.
Okay. What about you, Miss Janice? Law of relativity?
Not familiar with it.
Not familiar with it. Okay.
I mean, I'm sure I probably am once you read the definition on it. I'm sure I'll probably sit here like, okay.
That makes sense.
Right now, no.
Okay. I'll read another comment before I give the actual definition. So, Miss Natasha Dream Chaser Jackson, she's with us today. Thank you for tuning in with us, Miss Janelle. She says they also denied a woman the abortion pill, although her fetus was deceased. Y'all familiar with that one?
Remember that? Yep.
Remember that one?
Yes.
I'll tell you, boy, it's getting depressing.
Yeah,
you know?
You can't be in a job like healthcare and have your own personal beliefs.
Right, on what the patients are doing and what the patients want. Yeah, that's a little out of pocket.
That's just a person still wanting some type of control over somebody else's life.
Yeah.
I have to control the
power.
Yes.
Everybody wants some type of power.
Right.
You know, like, jeez, you know what I mean? Like, I would be embarrassed to try to take power over someone else's life. Like, I don't think you should have that, you know, or that ain't right that you have that. I overheard you say you selling food stamps. Isn't that crazy? She picked the right one to do that with.
Right.
So, I mean, the cat's out the bag. Like, black people have been selling food stamps since the beginning of food and stamps. And anybody out there listening, I'm down for 5,400. I'm just saying. You know? All right, so let's get into the law of relativity. Okay, so the law of relativity is one of the universal laws. There are 12 main universal laws, but it's about 21 of them altogether, but it's 12 of them that get the most attention. So, let's let these sirens go by. We in Baltimore, y'all. It's going down. Yeah. Welcome to Be More. We love it. All right, so law of relativity. Each person will receive a series of problems, you know, tests or initiation or lessons for the purpose of strengthening the light within each of those tests or lessons to be a challenge and remain connected to our hearts when proceeding to solve problems. This law also teaches us to compare our problem to other problems in order to get it into its proper perspective. No matter how bad we perceive our situation to be, there is always someone who is in a worse situation. It's all relative. The spiritual and metaphysical aspects of this law of relativity tells us that everything in our physical world is only made by its relationship or comparison to something else. Light only exists because we compare it to dark. Good only exists because we compare it to bad. Hot can only exist when we compare it to cold. So now I'm getting the relative part. Do you get what I'm saying? So everything's a test or initiation. Agree?
Right.
You think?
Yes.
So what about these people getting harassed by these white people? Is it what's the law of relativity on this? You know, is this some type of test? You know? And what can it be compared to? Well, I guess it can be compared to white people who don't go through this.
Right.
I just figured it out. that's how you know it's bad, right? That's what the law of relativity says. You know, you can't say something's hot unless you have cold to compare it to. So if we look at what's going on with this harassment, it can be compared to the fact that they don't go through it. Black people ain't walking up on them, you know, doing that. Maybe we need to start. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Can of worms.
Yeah, a whole nother can of worms, right? You know we too scared for that. But anyway. Anyway, you know. Okay, so the law teaches us to compare our problems to other problems to put it into its proper perspective. I like that. You know, like your worst day could be a great day for someone else.
True.
You know, like when I think about that, I think about, you know, take for instance being poor, right? You know, like you can see yourself as being poor because you go paycheck to paycheck. And according to American society, technically you are, right? Because you don't have surplus, you don't have extra. But a poor person, a real poor person in a different country would look at you like, you know, you're rich. Like you think you're poor because you don't have any money. You got clean water. You got a car you drive to work every day. You got a job. You got an apartment. You got a house. You know, you got the clothes that you like to wear. Like, that's not poor to them. So I think that's like a way of looking at the law of relativity. You know, when you compare it to someone else's situation or some other problems, it helps to put your situation in perspective. You understand what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yes.
It makes great sense.
Have you guys ever had a situation where you feel like you applied the law of relativity in your life?
All the time. You know, when you're having a bad day, you'd be like, somebody else's day is worse. So
right.
Compared to that, I'm having a great day.
True.
Very true.
Okay, what about you, Miss Dennis? Law of relativity. Relativity.
I had like something happened to me a while ago, and as I was leaving work, a guy stopped me and he noticed that I have Delaware tags on my car, and he goes, "Are you going back to Delaware?" And I was like, "No." And he goes, "Oh, because I got stranded out here, I need a ride back to Delaware." And I'm like, "Oh, that's asking how that happened." And he told me his whole story. But as he was leaving, he goes, "Well, just think, when you're having a bad day, or if you think you're having a bad day today, think about how my day is going." And I was like,
right. So he's in Maryland, stranded in Delaware. In Maryland, trying to get to Delaware. I'm sorry, stranded in Maryland.
Delaware, stranded in Maryland.
Right.
And he said, if you're having a bad day, or if your day gets any worse, just think how mine is going. And I'm like,
right,
that's very true.
That is very true.
Yeah.
Well, that's actually, I like this law.
I like this too.
I mean, because I'm probably more rich than I think I am.
Oh, you are. You definitely are.
I think I'm a baller.
Right, there you go. Straight baller. Drinking clean water every day. That's some baller life right there.
I mean, I'm just saying, depending on what you're comparing it to.
Right, and that's what it says that needs to be done in order for you to have the proper perspective of what you got going on.
But you got to really think and have that mentality to be able to, I guess, make you feel better about the situation.
Right, just like trying to train yourself to know someone in a worse situation.
When you're going through whatever you're going through, you're not thinking, oh, there's somebody worse than me. You're thinking, damn, how am I going to pay this bill? Or,
right.
You know, it's not that easy.
They give you a year and a day in jail. You ain't thinking to yourself, but he got 10 years. Right. I'm doing better than him.
Yeah, but I would like to know what are the ones that's living in, you living in your big old house and driving your fancy car and you're having a bad day. Like, what are you comparing it to then?
Right.
What are you comparing it to say that, oh my gosh, my life is such a mess right now?
Right.
What is your comparison?
I seen something interesting one time.
Celebrity life?
Right, yeah. If you're looking at that, then your life sucks.
Right.
You know what I mean? Even though you don't really know what they're going through.
That's all the thing.
Let me just throw that out there. They ain't living like everybody think they living. They got some problems I don't want. But that's another show. But something that pops in my mind. What was the guy's name? He had the show on, I think it was on the Food Network. Because he just passed away.
Anthony Bourdain.
Say it again.
Anthony Bourdain.
Anthony Bourdain, right? I used to watch his show, right? So on one of the shows, he was in Cuba, right? And he was there to taste the food, so forth and so on. But while he was there, he noticed like how poor the people were in Cuba. Like way poorer than what we think of as poor, right? But at the same time, they were very festive. They cooking all this great food. and they have these festivals where they be in the streets just dancing, and like this like kick off like every weekend through the whole summer. Like it's no thing for somebody to break out the drums or whatever, and people gather around, they playing music, so forth and so on. And one of the things, even though he was there to taste the food, he made a comment about it's amazing to him to see how poor these people are, but at the same time, the area that they was at, they had like this view of like the ocean, and they all went down there and hung out, and you know, they drinking and, you know, smoking or whatever. And he was like, it's like that didn't even bother them. You know, like from an American perspective, we would have just been like disgusted. Like this life is too hard, you know, so forth and so on. And he's like, these people are poorer than we could ever imagine. But they also were some of the happiest people he's ever met.
Because they're rich in other areas.
That's right. They understand different things. You understand what I mean? So even though they didn't have the fancy cars and, you know, living the lifestyle of hitting the club, they had their culture.
They had their family.
They had their family. Within their culture, they got their family. They got the type of foods that they cook. And he just had a grand old time. And he was basically like, I've never been around so many poor people that were so happy. And of course, you know, the Cubans are black people, you know what I mean? Let me just throw that out there. Whether they choose to admit it or not, it's another story, but I'm just saying. But that's kind of what comes to my mind. I guess in their case, they weren't comparing it to something better. They were probably comparing the way they live to something worse. You get what I mean? Looking at someone else like, well, hey, you know, they're just as poor as us, but they don't have this. They don't have this ocean view. They don't have this community, you know, love. And I had an appreciation for it. You know what I mean? I really did, because I remember when we used to have block parties. Everybody out there listening today, if you're old enough to remember when we had block parties, you get what I'm saying. It was a very festive moment. And these block parties, copy, you know, was, you know, black people, and we was poor, but that was still a part of who we was. You know what I mean? We shut this block down, put the little blockers up on each end, and DJs playing music, or somebody got a guitar or whatever, and it was just good times. And that's what that reminded me of when I seen that, you know, because again, you know, it's what you compare it to, law of relativity. I've eaten some of my best meals in my home when I had no money. Best meal ever. I'm in the cabinets raiding it, cooking everything. Everything I can find. Got frozen meat, you know, we got corn, we got this and that. Whereas when I'm doing better and I got money, it's like, oh, we're going to go out and eat, you know what I mean? Or we're going to order some carry out, so forth and so on.
Well, who determines the whole rich and poor?
Good question. Good question. Because within society, when we think about being rich, we tend to think about money. You know what I mean? But
that's super funny, because Peyton asked me yesterday, she goes, Mom, what does being rich mean?
Oh boy, what'd you tell her on that?
I said, I didn't, and as a matter of fact, I didn't even say anything to do with money. I said being rich is being plentiful in something. I didn't want her to relate it to just having money, because you can be rich in love and in your family. Like, it's a million other things you can be rich in outside of just money.
Okay, I like that.
So it's funny that how that
we're gonna tap back in. So hold that thought. We're gonna take our first break. Stay with us. Black by the Man Radio Show. We are talking universal laws, the law of relativity. Stay with us. I like
that was Flashback from Sunset Soul Radio.
Sometimes, let me say this, sometimes people did things a certain way because that's all they knew. Right. So let me finish what I'm saying. Let me keep moving my point. If the only thing they knew 40 years ago was to handle like this, that's what they did. So we're holding accountable and a standard for something that some people, that's all they knew how to do. So they did it the way they had to do. Big Mama, when you did something, no, I'm not arguing. But that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that the church as a whole, we have issues that we need to work on. Everything got issues. But instead of criticizing the church, let's be impactful to show something different. It bothers me. Because guess what? Because watch this. This is what I do. This is I can't say it to anybody else. But my church is not judgmental. We love God. All of us are sitting and fall short of the glory of God. I believe it. One of our statements of my church is, there's nobody more important from the pulpit to the pew, to the back door. All of us are God's children. That's one of the things I teach my membership. I teach my church. Because we're all God's children. All of us are flawed. All of us got issues. But you got to also take into consideration, what is the black church to the black community? We only did what we knew. That was the only place we got information. That's the only place we got education. That was the only place that we were accepted to do and to be free and be leaders and to guide us. And they did a good job for what they had. So I think we spent too much time condemning what was our foundation instead of trying to be progressive and say, okay, well, listen.
How do you be progressive?
You show something better without criticizing what was there.
No.
Sunset Soul Radio, Thursdays from 7 to 9, only on BeExposedRadio.com.
Well, Jason, I've got to tell you, you're pretty much everything this company is looking for in an entry-level candidate.
Great.
Your resume isn't quite what we're used to, but you've got a fantastic work ethic.
Thank you.
And I'm impressed by how you carry yourself.
So, should we talk about the job?
What? The job? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I have no way of recruiting or even meeting you. This interview didn't happen.
It may sound ridiculous, and that's because it kind of is. There's a huge pool of talent your company is missing out on. Meet the grads of life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
Man, we really could have used him.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
My name is Ruth Rusi. I'm a retired teacher. I'm 91 years old, and this is how I live united. I say retired, but not really. Once a week, I read books to children as part of United Way's education program. Reading to a child creates links between language and literacy. It creates a bond between grown-up and child. And believe it or not, it prepares them for a better academic future. Oh, we read about frogs and flies and pigs with wings, all sorts of juicy stuff. It's a joy to watch all those little faces. I figure I have the time and they have the need. And I've always believed that if we're not here to help each other, then what are we here for really? My name is Ruth Rusi. I help kids prepare to succeed in school. So I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer, live united. Go to...
Whoa. The moment my son saw a redwood tree.
It's huge!
Is the moment I knew that for him,
You can't even see the top of that thing!
even the sky has no limit.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org. Learn about forests near you and discover cool things to do when you go. Your moment is out there. Find it at discovertheforest.org.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
All right. Got my mic set up. My mic sounds nice. Check 1. Check 2. I think we are, ladies. We are back. Bear with me, folks. Trying to get my mic right. And my mic sound nice. Get it? Mic sounds nice. Nah, never mind. Anyway, let's go to the comments. Welcome back, everybody. So yeah, we had a couple comments about throwing the block parties. Butab True says they still throw block parties in DC. Okay, that's what's up. Block parties and house parties. See, and that's what I mean. You know what I mean? It was, you know, we was poor folks, but we was having fun. We was enjoying it. You wanted to go to that block party. So what else on the law of relativity? The spiritual and metaphysical aspects of this law of relativity tells us that everything in our physical world is only made by its relationship or comparison to something else. Okay, so that would go into what you said, like how do you even determine that you're poor? I guess it's because you're comparing it to those who have money. What westernized society determines makes you rich. But we don't really agree that that's what rich really is, right? Rich is, you know, numerous different things. Spiritually rich, right? You can be spiritually rich, right?
Yes, because even in order to determine that you're poor, then you have to be comparing it to, I don't know, like, how do you even get to determining that you're poor?
How do you know you're poor?
By comparing to people that have...
Yeah, how do you know you're poor when this is how everyone's been?
I mean, I'm just saying, especially if you're looking
your
around,
country,
and because you can always find plenty folks or plenty situations that you're doing better than. So if you have to compare being poor to something, then how you get to the poor? How you get to the poor state?
Right. Yeah.
How do you get to the state like I'm poor?
Law of relativity, right? Comparing it to something else, right?
You comparing it to?
Looking at something else that you deem to be better.
That's what I'm saying. You're looking at television and comparing it to that.
That's a good one. I think television plays a major part in law of relativity of making us do a bunch of things, making you realize you're poor, making or at least think that you're poor, making you think that you're too heavy, making you think you're too dark. Your hair ain't right, so forth and so on. So they're providing us with something to compare it to.
Are you comparing it to like the way your neighbors are living or the way your friends living? Like, if you're determining that you're poor, like how are you getting to that?
Based on society standards.
So
right. And who sets these standards? Right. Who is the they? Right? You know how like the cliche is, or how what they say, you know what I mean? Or they say this, or they say that. Have we ever determined who the they are?
You know who the they are. Go ahead and say it.
I know who the they are.
Go ahead and say who they
I'm just going to say dominant society.
Oh, okay.
I'll be friendly today. So let me read another comment. This is Miss Jackson about the Caribbean. She says the people in the Caribbean will always be happier because they are used to a life of plenty. The lack of money, but less is needed because they can live off the land. When certain food is out of season, they just pick another fruit. Only countries that have periods of deficit, winter, drought, etc., have the greed mentality. They are used to having stored up goods for times of deficit. True. Yeah, I think they do that. You know what I mean? And I think it's a more community environment. And I just thought it was interesting when I watched his show because I know he focuses on the food. But, the atmosphere and what he was seeing with all these poor black people still being so festive and so happy. And then he's going and talking to them. And they're like, no, life is good. Like we don't have a bunch of money and stuff, but look around. You know what I mean? We got us. We got community. We got music. We got food. We got family values. We got culture. And I mean, it's a beautiful thing, man. I wish, so much of ours wasn't taken away from us where we had to rebuild because, we did rebuild and create a whole new black culture over here in the diaspora. But I wish we could have held on tighter to what we had. But of course, it was taken away on purpose. So that's a whole nother story.
So I'm just saying with this law, then, like, shouldn't we all be rich?
If you know what? I think we should be, you know what I mean? Because if you're comparing it to something that is less than you, then you can feel rich.
There's always something, it's always something more or less or more worse going on.
Right, exactly. I'll read a little bit more for you. It says, in fact, everything in our lives just is until we compare it to something. Nothing in life has any meaning except for the meaning that we give it. Interesting. It is all in how you look at your situation and what thoughts and perspectives you choose to think about with the situation. When you focus on good thoughts and energies, more good things will come to you. Likewise, if you focus on how bad a situation is, you will attract more bad. You can always compare your life situation to someone else and look better or worse depending on your viewpoint and how you look at it. If you compare your life situation to someone else who is worse, yours will always look better. No matter the situation at hand, there's always someone worse off and there's always someone better.
1 minute. So that's my point. So isn't like the people with more money, like they're like, say, let's use celebrities, like they're looking at the ones that, have less money than they are, and that's how they're determining themselves as rich?
Probably, because celebrities have classes, right? A-list, like B-list. I mean, this is what I've heard before. B-list, C-list.
Even though we're not celebrities, can't we just find a whole lot of people too that we're doing better than? So can't we classify ourselves as rich?
Sure. I think that's what the law is saying.
Yourself to, I guess.
I'm just saying, according to this law,
right? Like, it's all in a matter of who you're comparing it to. Someone that has more money, you're going to be feeling less than, and if you're doing better than somebody, then you're going to be more satisfied in your standings. Okay. So it's all in a matter of who you're comparing yourself to that gives you the good or the bad.
So I'll put this question out on the floor, and then we're going to take another break, right? So this is what I want to put out on the floor. Do you think us as black people, when we do a comparison, do we generally look at someone who's doing better, or do we generally look at someone who's doing worse to find our position of where we feel we're at? So that's the question I'm going to put on the floor. Stay with us. We're going to take another commercial break. Black by the Band Radio Show.
on Salacious Life Radio.
You know, when it comes to your children, especially if you're dating someone that you actually like, you do want it to work. So you're gonna hope and encourage the relationship between your child and that person because you like that person, you know. So you're gonna hope for the best. I mean, sometimes it just doesn't work, and you can't make it work. You can't force it. It's like a branch. You keep bending it. Eventually, it'll snap, and even if you put it back together, it'll never be what it once was. But you definitely pray on it. You hope for the best, you know, because like nobody wants to spend the rest of their life alone just because that a particular relationship didn't work out, but you had this beautiful creature as a result of it, you know. But you don't want to necessarily spend and you're not all of a sudden a bad person. You're not all of a sudden not going to fulfill this other person's needs.
You, madam, are a harlot and a scoundrel.
Because I had one kid while I was still married. Like,
but what if I take that back.
What if the situation turns around the other way? So you ready for your child to meet? They meet the person, and this person is a giver. So this person's buying your child lots of gifts and wanting to.
I would usually.
Do you let?
You don't like if it's a birthday or some sort of holiday or something like that. Okay, and they want to get them a few things or get them something. Okay, but just on like a regular basis, like unless it's like Nestle's Quick or something that you can get from like, you know what I'm saying, or like Kit Kats or something like that. Like, no, don't spend a lot of money. It's unrealistic.
I'm sorry.
It's unrealistic. Like, don't try to buy his.
Tune in live to Salacious Life Radio every Wednesday from 9 to 11, only on BeExposedRadio.com.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
30 seconds. All right, we back on. Welcome back, everybody. Okay, so we put a question on the floor dealing with this law of relativity before we went to break, which is in regards to it. When we find our position of where we think we're at in life, are we doing that by comparing it to people who have more, or are we doing that by comparing it to people who have less? Your thoughts, ladies. And feel free to use yourself.
I'll say if we're doing it as a group of people, then we're probably doing it to people who have more.
Okay.
But if we're doing it as an individual,
right,
then we're looking at those who have less.
Okay. What do you think? As a community of people?
As a community, we're looking for people that are above us that have more.
Okay. Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, but
and I think that's a part of making us feel that we ain't achieving the things we want to achieve.
Right. But individually, we're going to look to somebody that has less to feel good about ourselves.
Right.
Okay.
You know, satisfied in what we're doing.
Right. You'll be like, I might not be where I want to be, but I know I'm doing better than her.
Right.
Right.
Law of relativity, right? Should we even be doing that?
No.
Can you help it? No.
Right. That's what I'm getting at. Like, should we even be doing that? But I mean, it's real. You know what I mean? It's real because I know, you know, me personally, like, I'm probably looking at someone who has more and positioning myself like, oh, I'm only up here because I see somebody who's there.
Now, that's the part I said no to. I'm saying no to the part is, like, should we be looking at the ones who have more, like, and determining, you know, like we're less because they have more. Like, no, we shouldn't be doing that.
Because I think overall we do look at people who have more. Now, I'm a sidebar this, right? I also think that's what creates jealousy.
True.
You get what I'm saying? You know, and I've never had that in me, you know what I mean? And man, praise y'all for that, because I see that in a lot of people, you know what I mean? Like when I see someone who has achieved, say, what I want to achieve or doing what I want to do, like it excites me.
It motivates.
It motivates me. Like I look at it and be like, see, I'm trying to get where that dude at, you know what I mean? Like I like how he move, like how he do what he do. But you know, with a lot of people, that's not what happens. You know what I mean? Like people can literally not like you because you are somewhere that they wish they were. You understand what I mean? And then we become very judgmental, I think, as a community of people on how that person should be. You know, like I always say, nobody knows how a rich person should spend their money better than a poor person. Do you get what I'm saying? Because there's poor people who will look at you like, that's ridiculous. He didn't have to throw a party for $72,000. Like, that's what we do, right? You know what I mean? When in all reality, I mean, evidently $72,000 wasn't a lot of money to him, you know, but we have that type of mindset, you know what I mean, where we look at someone, you know, she ain't got to wear stilettos every time she comes to this meeting. You get what I'm saying? You know, in all reality, it's like, that's what she likes to do. That's what she likes to do, you know. So does it create a little bit of jealousy when you keep looking at those who you feel have more than you?
It can.
I think it does.
And it shouldn't, because, I mean, even if a person, their option is to wear stilettos and yours is to wear flats. Like, do that say that she wears stilettos because she can afford them and I can't?
Right.
Or is that just her choice of wearing them? Right.
Right. But you get what I'm saying, right? You know what I mean? Like, that just popped into my head because I've seen that situation happen before, you know, with particular black women. They have a particular style of dress, you know what I mean? Like, they like to come, you know, looking a certain way. And, you know, other women who also, you know, be where they're at have, you know, issue with it, you know, like, she thinks she cute.
The cattiness of a woman.
Yeah, right. Is that what that is? Okay, all right. So that's a little below the law of relativity. All right, I'll put
I mean, it applies, but if you're talking about a woman.
The cattiness today, all I know is after that law today, like, I am rich going forward.
You are very rich. You are very rich. We are all rich today. Everybody who's in the audience, understand that. We are rich. Let's read another comment.
We are rich.
This is Miss Jackson as well. She says, when you work to be guided by a higher power, you don't need to compare yourself to others. This is the cause of a lot of jealousy in the black community. Crabs in the barrel mentality. Yes, that's what I was getting at. You know what I mean? So is this comparison, because we may not have the proper understanding of it, is it actually causing some problems? Because think about it, if we had the proper understanding, if you knew that when you compared yourself to someone who had more, it made you feel a certain way. If you had the proper understanding, you could reverse that. Compare yourself to someone who doesn't have what you have. Know that someone's looking at you and aspiring to be where you're at. Meanwhile, you're looking at the next person aspiring to be where they're at. You get what I mean? So you're in a good position. You get what I'm saying? You're in a good position. You know, if you're drinking clean water and you got a place to live, you know, residence, you got a car, your kids are okay, you're able to pay for the daycare. It doesn't matter if you have a dime in your pocket at the end of the week. You are rich. I mean, you are rich because with no money in your pocket, you can go home in the air conditioning and watch Love and Hip Hop.
That's why they say if you're paying, if you're paying bills and stuff and you're broke at the end of the week, you're not poor.
Okay.
You're not. Because you are maintaining all the things, you just don't have extra.
But isn't it fact that it's always going to be somebody who's going to have more money?
That is what the law said.
Anyway?
That's what the law says.
So
it's always someone doing better, always someone doing worse.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Still, how are you determining the rich lifestyle versus this poor lifestyle?
Right. Because you are rich to somebody.
Right.
You know, to somebody you are rich. I'll read another comment. This is from Miss Alicia Johnson. Thank you for tuning in with us, Ms. Johnson. She says, I think it depends on the current situation of your life if you compare yourself as rich or poor. If you have problems with your car, for example, and can't afford to fix it, but someone you know just purchased a new car, you might view them as doing better. True, true. Because your psychic is disturbed because you're dealing with problems with your car. Like, I'm just tired of this car, you know what I mean? It's getting on my nerve. And then your friend, your boy, your girl, she's like, yeah, I just got my 2017 Audi.
Yeah.
And you thinking, my life sucks.
Yeah, until she's going through something 6 months later and you're doing better than her.
Yeah, 6 months later when she complained about them car payments.
Right, so it's all relative.
But right, so relative. Yeah, today's word is relative.
Right.
And I ain't talking about your peoples. Yeah, I like that though. That's true. That's true. Because I know I've experienced that before. You know what I mean? You be dealing with some problems with your car. Like, man, this car be driving me crazy. Then your boy come by, burp, burp. He out there in his new whip. Yo, you want to go for a ride? No. Nah, I'll go. You know, I ain't about that. But I'm just saying, you know, that's how people be. I mean, I grew up with people who wouldn't even go to the mall with you if they didn't have no money to buy nothing. I always went.
I mean, I can understand that.
I don't. I just like the scenery and be at the mall.
And be around everybody. And, you know, if you don't got it like that, then you're not going to want to.
But you're supposed to be going for your friends. You supposed to be going to hang out with your friends.
I understand.
Just because you can't buy some new clothes and stuff, you like, I ain't fooling with y'all. You know what I'm saying?
I'm like wanting to go out to the bar and not be able to buy drinks.
Now that's different. That's because at the bar you have to buy something. That's the whole reason you're there. The mall is a social atmosphere. You understand what I mean? So whether I got money or not, I might meet my wife that day.
True.
Right? But I missed it because I was mad because I ain't had no money and y'all did, and I ain't want to go to Foot Locker.
And couldn't buy no Ralph.
Right. You know, couldn't buy no Polo or none of that. But you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, and you could have missed a great time. Yeah.
Could have missed a great time. You know what I mean? Now, I can understand with a bar situation if you say, listen, I ain't got no money, but if y'all want me to go, I'll go. Just understand that responsibility just got put on you. You know? That's right. Now, if they say, yo, don't worry about it, we got you. Boom, let's rock. Let's do this. Now, of course, none of us really like to be in those type of situations where we don't have no paper. But, hey, if they're your real friends, they might not have a problem with it. I mean, I know I've went out throughout my years to the bar many a times with family and friends, and they didn't have no money. And that's what they would say. Yo, I'll go with you. I ain't got no money. I'm like, don't worry about that.
Right.
I'm inviting you because I don't care if you have money or not. If you got money, that's cool. But if you don't, the fact that I invited you, I'm kind of willing to, you know, pay for it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be your rich friend for today.
Yeah, I say kind of.
You are so rich.
There you go. I'll be your rich friend today.
That's it.
Yeah, I say kind of because I'm saying I'm not about to order you a steak dinner. You know what I mean? Like, you can get some appetizers.
You can get the chicken.
You can get endless appetizers. TGIF. But that's about it. All right, so I'll read another part of this here, right? It says, however, from a spiritual point of view, we can remove barriers and accept everything as is. In form, you will always be inferior to some, superior to others. In essence, you are neither inferior nor superior to anyone. Ooh, I like that. True self-esteem and true humility arises out of that realization. In the eyes of the ego, self-esteem and humility are contradictory. In truth, they are one and the same. They got a little deep on us right there. So let me read that again. In form, you will always be inferior to some and superior to others. In essence, you are neither inferior nor superior to anyone. So let's talk about form. Right? That's what we've been talking about, form. So in form, you are doing better than others, and you're doing worse than others. But in the true essence. So what are we looking at with that word, essence? What comes to your mind when it says, but in essence, you're neither superior nor inferior? What do you think that even means? I think of humanity. In essence, you're human. So as a human, you're neither superior nor inferior because y'all both bleed. Y'all both believe in a higher power. You get what I'm saying? No matter what label you put to it. So that's what kind of comes to my mind. Like, in essence, you know, you're a human just like everybody else.
Materialism.
Right. That's the form.
Yeah.
Right? That's form. So form deals with your actual materialistic things that you have. So in form, you're superior to someone else. Right? But in essence, that person's a human just like you.
Right.
They got feelings. They got issues. They can be hurt. They can bleed. You know, so forth and so on.
Makes sense.
Should we focus on essence more than form?
Yes.
We might should.
We should, but we don't.
We don't. Let's talk about that. So we say we should, but why don't we?
I think it's just based off society standards. Like, you're always going to look at who's doing better than you or who's doing worse than you.
Right. Westernized civilization has taught us different ways of dealing with life. Right. This is a life definitely built on materialistic gains. Because, you know, if you go back to, say, like biblical days, yes, there was money. They had gold and silver and stuff. But that wasn't the only thing that you was considered to be rich. You was, of course, rich in spirituality, rich in your obedience to the Most High. But you was also rich if you had cattle. You had land. You get what I mean? In biblical days, a woman in particular, the more weight a woman had on her, the more beautiful she was regarded as, because back then what was rich was being able to eat. So if you had a woman that had size to her, she was regarded as a higher power of a woman, because they could clearly see she's living a life where she's being fed on the regular. And back then that was the real struggle. You know, do you have food?
Wow.
You understand what I mean? Do you have food? So if you go back and look at like paintings from earlier times, and they were supposed to be paintings of biblical women. They're all painted what we know of today as normal size, you know, which is what, 14, 16. You get what I'm saying? You know, it was Western civilization that got involved and brought this whole cosmopolitan look.
Size 0.
Yeah, size 0.
2,
like, really? You know what I mean? And that's just one of the other things that I do particularly love about black women, because black women are just, they just thick. You know, and we like it, and it's a beautiful thing. It's more biblical to me than, you know, anything else, you know, versus, you know, say like runway models. Like, aren't they supposed to like look like a hanger? Like, have you ever heard that before? Like, the clothes are supposed to hang on them as if it was on a hanger. That's why they're like so thin. And,
that's gross.
Yeah. He said that's gross, right? Oh, that is funny. So listen. So what about when we? Because I think we all have met someone who lives more in essence, right? Not so much in form, materialistic things. These people are usually regarded as very beautiful people, you know, soul-wise, not, you know, appearance necessarily, but soul-wise. You know what I mean? Like, whether it's your grandmother or, you know, a teacher you had, and like, they're just not into the whole form thing, you know, trying to look like they're better than people, but they got this essence about them where they see everyone as being humans and equal and don't want to do wrong, so forth and so on. So it seems like essence is the better route to go.
Not only that, if you really think about it, those are the ones who stash the most too.
True.
They probably have the most money.
True. Because I wish this spirit of form could be stripped off me. But I'm a victim like everybody else. I want some fresh tennis, you know what I mean? I want that new shirt, you know what I mean? Hats.
The Joneses, that's why.
Yeah, no, I definitely don't do that because I know the Joneses are in debt. So I'm definitely not trying to keep up with them. They in debt. But I'm just saying we all like to look nice, you know what I mean? We all like to stay fresh, so forth and so on. And I don't think that's a bad thing, you know what I mean? Because I think that's a part of us as black people, as our culture. I think people have tried to turn that into something bad with us. Because black people, we like to look good, you know what I mean? And all of us are not spending the rent money to look good. You understand what I mean? All of us are not doing it. Some of us are. You know, the Michael Jordan lines, you know what I mean? 5 o'clock in the morning, 400 black people out there get a pair of tennis. That might be a little bit different, but you get what I'm saying. Overall, hey, we just got, you know, a little swag. You know, we got a little flavor. Yeah, but you know, but there's people in this society that try to turn that into, oh, they're show-offs.
Right.
You get what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and that's not what it is. Just fly.
Yeah.
You know, we set the stage. You know what I mean? We set the standards. We
your
are the trendsetters.
We just like to look.
It wasn't hot until we did it. You understand what I'm saying? Even if you created it, it wasn't hot until we did it. Matter of fact, somebody just had that post on Facebook. It was a picture of copy. It was a picture of a white chick with like a red dress on, and then beside her in the chair was Rihanna. And she had the same dress on, but she was like sitting in the chair. And the tag said, "Ain't hot until we wear it."
True.
Yeah, you understand what I mean? That was nice, right? So that's what I'm getting at. Okay, that's what's up. All right, well, we up on another break. Stay with us, Black by the Man Radio Show. We are talking about the law of relativity. Yeah, that's what's up. I like them kind of posts.
From 7 to 9 p.m.
I'll give you an example of mine, and this is real simple, but I know I'm not the only one that this happened to. So I went to Target last night, and I'm shopping. I'm just filling my cart with this and that. Ooh, I like this. Ooh, a little Christmas gift right there. Get to the register. They ringing it all up, and they say, "Ma'am, your total is blah, blah, blah." I open my wallet. I go in my wallet, and my debit card is not in there. I was caught slipping, y'all. I was caught slipping. Oh, my wonderful merchandise. I had to leave there at the store because I was caught slipping. I didn't have my card. Now, I know I'm not the only one that has happened to. For sure. Alright, so
before I walk into places I check, I'd be like, hold on, before I go in and touch anything, let me just
I know. I probably will do that now. Hopefully.
Keyboard Cat, Hamilton the Pug, and Toast Meets World. These are some of the internet's most beloved pets. With millions of YouTube views, shares, Instagram likes, followers, and fans across the globe. But what do all these amazing pets have in common? Their stories started in a shelter. Start your story. Adopt a dog or cat today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a shelter or adoptable pets near you. Training that pet to play the keyboard? Well, that's entirely up to you. Visit theshelterpetproject.org and hear more about Hamilton the Pug, Toast, and Keyboard Cat's amazing adoption stories. Start a story, adopt a shelter or rescue pet today. Your perfect pet is just a click away at theshelterpetproject.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Monty from Talk Lately. I want y'all to sit back and listen to this flashback. We be tripping.
I mean, really, but I mean, he might have. I got him maybe jacking her up.
The kids said he did it.
But this is Floyd Mayweather punching her head repeatedly, and like she doesn't have like brain damage.
No, she didn't have brain damage. I don't think he was hitting her like that. Or he probably was like, say something else. Say something else.
That
he probably wasn't like tagging her.
Right.
He probably was just like, and the kids was like, Daddy, Daddy, Daddy.
Why do they have the accent? Why? Why do his kids have that accent?
I just pictured them looking like African. Oh. I didn't want to have to admit that. I don't know what they're going to do about my mouth, but just check out the show every Tuesday at 7 p.m. It's more of the same right here on BeExposedRadio.com.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Yeah, that's nice right there, right? All right, welcome back, everybody, to the BBD Radio Show. We are finishing up the law of relativity. So at the end of the day, the law of relativity deals with us facing the fact that whatever perspective you have is because you're comparing it to something else. So that is the relativity. So whether you think you're good or bad, it's because you're comparing it to something else that you think is good or bad, right? That's pretty much what we got out of it as far as life as well. So let's take the last segment of the show and let's tap into the law of polarity, which is a little bit different from the law of relativity. So this is the law of polarity. It says everything is on a continuum and has an opposite. We can suppress and transform undesirable thoughts by concentrating on the opposite pole. It is the law of mental vibrations. We can see that you cannot have a left without a right, and without a down, there can be no up. Without failure, there can be no success, and without good, there can be no bad, and so on. It's a world of duality. However, these opposites have no absolute. There is not one point where you can say that one starts and the other begins. It's a scale range. There are two poles or opposites. The difference between the two extremes, ozone thing is called polarity. Okay. There are degrees of difference between the extreme or poles and no absolutes. This law states that, in fact, these opposites are simply different manifestations of the same thing. Example, there is no one point where you can say that cold stops and heat begins. It's all on the same pole. The law of polarity. Mental vibrations. Let's see if we can break this down. You can't have a left without a right. Everything's on opposites. You can't have good without bad. So this is kind of similar to the law of relativity.
Aren't they
yeah.
related?
According to this, they're along the same pole.
Yeah.
That's what it was saying, right? Napoleon Hill, author of the classic book Think and Grow Rich. It's a good book. I read that book several times. Each adversity, every failure, and every headache carries with it the seed of the equivalent or greater benefit. Now, that's definitely a good way to look at the law of polarity. So, you know, even in the event of the worst situation, there's also the opportunity for the greatest outcome. Does that make sense? Do you get what I'm saying? You know, like if I look at current event situations, right, with all these white women calling the police on black people, as horrible as that is, it can be a good outcome in that because it's a wake-up call to what's really happening in this society. So you can take that bad situation and then use it to kind of educate others on how to avoid, you know, being in that situation. Right. It's a law of duality. So everything's duality. You know, it kind of reminds me of like, you know, they talk about parallel universes. Who are you in a parallel universe?
The opposite of who you are here.
Right, but what kind of opposite? You get what I'm saying? Because if you're here and you think you're good, does that mean you're bad on the other end? Or are you really bad here and you're really good on the other end? Who knows, right? You know, the law of polarity. So what do you ladies think about that? It's on poles. We can suppress and transform undesirable thoughts by concentrating on the opposite pole. So what about jealousy? When people get jealous, right? This would be an example where they're saying you can concentrate on the opposite pole.
What's the opposite of jealousy?
Well, it depends on what you're jealous of. But I would say trying to be happy for the person instead of being, you know what I mean, or ignoring it altogether. Right? Okay. Because in order to be jealous of something, you have to be devoting some type of energy towards it. So if it's making you feel jealous, maybe you can just ignore it. Pretend you never seen him with that car and that job or whatever. I don't know. I'm just guessing. I'm just guessing. What do you ladies think? You can't have a left without a right. Everything is dual. Everything has poles. Everything has its pair of opposites. Like and unlike are the same. Opposites are identical in nature, but different in degree. Extremes meet. All truths are but half-truths. All paradoxes may be reconciled. All truths are but half-truths. Y'all believe that?
I understand what they're saying.
Law of polarity working on y'all, huh?
I mean, I understand what they're saying. I mean, it makes sense. I
mean, everything's duality.
You can't have good without bad. I mean, otherwise, how do you even determine the two if you don't? So you have to have one. You can't have left without the right. Otherwise, like, what's to determine right? What's to determine left?
So doesn't that go back to the law of relativity, saying that you can't determine what's good without knowing what's bad?
Okay.
So I feel like it's kind of like one and the same, but not.
They're very similar, it seems like. Very similar.
They're together like that because they are similar.
It says opposites are simply different manifestations of the same thing. That's interesting. Right? Because if you think about opposites, like if you think of opposites, what's the first thing that comes to your mind on the opposite? You know, hot, cold, black, white, what? Relationships.
Opposites attract.
Opposites attract, okay. Good relationships, bad relationships.
Or like personality-wise, dominant, submissive. It's just opposite ends of the spectrum.
Does that work?
For some.
For some, okay. Okay. Yeah, I guess that could be a way of looking at it, you know, relationship-wise. But it says they're on the same pole, or opposite pole, I'm sorry. The law of mental vibrations, that's what this deals with. The law of mental vibrations. You cannot tell where cold stops and hot begins. Now that's interesting. I never heard that in my life. I'm going to have to use that.
But when you think about it, it makes a whole lot of sense.
It does, because how do you know when cold stops and hot begins? You know, because when you feel the hotness, it didn't just begin. You get what I'm saying? Like it already was warming up, so that line is blurred. You know, you can't find when it starts, when it stops. You get what I mean? The book Think and Grow Rich that it mentions from Napoleon Hill, that's a pretty good book. I read that back in the day. And it kind of deals with that. Each adversity, every failure, every headache carries with it the seed of an equivalent or greater benefit. So this is dealing with the law of polarity. You know, like you can get to the opposite end because it's all the same. And I'm trying to think of a good example of that. You know, like it's all one.
Yeah, because I want some more insight on
You want some more insight? Well, like it was saying, you know, there's no good without bad. You know, there's no heaven without hell. That would deal with the law of polarity as well. Like you believe in heaven because you believe in hell.
I understand.
You know what I mean?
I understand it all. But how do you use it for its benefits?
I would go with what Napoleon Hill said in his book, because I read the book, so I'm a little familiar with it. But I'll read it again. Each adversity, every failure, every headache carries with it the seed of an equivalent or greater benefit. So even in your worst time, like when I was saying, I eat my best meal at home when I ain't got no money. See, I have no money, right? So that's the bad part, right? Because you want to be able to just order some food or whatever. But at the same time, yeah, it forces me to raid my freezer, raid my cabinets, and use the stuff that's there. Turns out to be a great meal. Turns out to be a great meal. Copy. Yeah, it turns out to be a great meal. So in the event of that looking so bad, like, oh, I don't have no money, I wanted to order me some, filet mignon. But instead, I found I had a, frozen roast in the freezer. I thawed that out, had a couple bags of corn and, still had some Italian bread I never baked in the oven. Next thing you know, you eating this gorgeous meal. And it turned out, to be gorgeous meal. Yeah, that's a gorgeous meal. You eat good when you ain't got no money. You eat good.
Network worthy.
So let's break and we'll get back on this. So stay with us. Back by the Man Radio Show. The Law of Polarity.
You're now listening to BeExposedRadio.com. Check out this fire flashback.
We need to relearn what it is to be these bosses and how we conduct ourselves as business-minded individuals and just people in general. I let my gut, and if I call it gut or God or whatever, I'm led by that energy. I know where it comes from. I know where it's, taking me, and you have to figure out what is important to you, and don't play this game. It's a game that we've learned to play, this chess game, and life is not a chess game. Life is real, bones, flesh, blood, decisions.
Make sure you check out the Artist Exchange Show every Monday and Friday at 2 p.m. only on BeExposedRadio.com.
Black by Demand Radio Show.
2 years ago. If you broke that bike and it don't work, that's on you, brother. I suggest you get that toolkit out back and then start working with it, right? Yes. So my son's looking at me like, wow. And I broke down to him how we had got fixing flat tires down to a science. You understand what I mean? Sticking the tube in the water, right?
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
And the law of attraction work together.
Okay, all right. We back, everybody. So we going over the law of polarity. So Miss Glam by Sam, go ahead and clue us into what you found out during the break.
That you can fail to manifest through the law of polarity, meaning, why don't you read what it says? The deep-seated negative beliefs in your subconscious, for example, that you're not talented enough to succeed or attractive enough to fall in love, shape the energy of your intentions. So even if you're thinking about the content of your intention, such as finding a great partner or earning an amazing job, your emotional energy may not be in tune with this intentional content.
Okay.
So.
Emotional energy.
Emotional energy.
Right. Okay. So that's got to deal with like a little bit of confidence, right?
Right.
You got to believe that this is going to go down the way you want it to go down.
Yes.
Or if not, it's going to produce the opposite.
Right. Even if your intent is something else, if your energy is thinking a total different thing, then you might have trouble reaching whatever your intent is.
Right.
Yeah.
Now you said this goes hand in hand with another universal law, right?
The law of attraction.
That's my favorite. The law of attraction is my favorite.
Yeah.
That makes sense that this would go hand in hand with that.
That do make sense.
That would make sense.
That makes sense.
So it deals with energy.
Right. It says, in many cases, people working with the law of attraction don't have an effective energy flow because they're accidentally using both polarities at once.
Ooh,
that makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
You can't be wanting something and then not full-heartedly going for it.
Right.
You're gonna get it. If you have both polarities present at the same time and in the same magnitude, they simply cancel each other out.
Oh, okay. Oh, we learning on the BBD radio show today. Right? Yeah, you gotta love that. Yeah, because of course, law of attraction is one of my favorite ones, and I believe in it wholeheartedly. And that's why we do these shows on universal laws, because we know this is maybe something that's not too familiar amongst the black community, so we're trying to bring out some different things. Because I know when I first started learning about universal laws, like, it made me feel more powerful. Like, I didn't know I had control like I do over certain things. Now, I'm far from a master of it, still trying to work things out, but you know, knowing about it does help. So when you do have that conscious moment, you think, you know what, let me control my thought process because I know these laws are at work.
Because it's even like when you're going for it and going for it, it's still in the back of your mind, like, I can't do this.
Right.
Like, but you're going for it, but you're still talking to yourself like, I'm not gonna be able to do it.
Trying to control your thoughts.
Both at the same time.
Right. So you're canceling it out.
Right.
And that's what you were saying. You know, you end up canceling it out. Yeah, but your thoughts. Yeah, and we talked about on the one show, that's where meditation comes into play. You know, and for the audience, the reason why we do universal laws is because, contrary to popular belief, like, universal laws supersede your religion. And what I mean is, it doesn't supersede the Most High. But what I'm saying is, he created this universe. And within this universe, he created some laws. So it's kind of irrelevant what you believe in him spiritually. His universal laws are just in place, period. You get what I mean? So this is not about religion or anything like that. It's about understanding that there is a higher power that exists. And again, whatever you choose to practice your faith with, but his laws are across the board. So whether you Christian, Israelite, Muslim, Buddhist, or whatever, universal laws don't care nothing about that. Right? You get what I'm saying? Because this is just something that's put in place. And I think learning about universal laws, I think it empowers us. You know, whether it's the law of attraction, you know, law of polarity, law of relativity, law of karma, like, they've all been good. You know what I mean? Like, it's good learning this stuff. It doesn't really necessarily stay with me 24 hours a day, but I have a consciousness of it now. You know what I mean?
Which one do you think is the most important?
For me, the law of attraction is most important.
Too.
Yeah.
That's all about getting what you want, or, you know, getting your life to where it wants to be.
That's more important too, but it's more important to know the rest of them, the laws as well, because even when, like you said, when you was using the law of attraction, you didn't know you was using the law of polarity with it. You didn't know that. Right. So it's good to know about all the laws.
Yeah, it is.
What you're saying when you're saying the law of attraction is the most important, but it's also most important to know the rest of them as well.
True.
I mean, if you're going to get the full effect of using it.
Right, the full effect. And I think we'd have to study them a little deeper to really get into how we can practice it and get into our mental and understand you're going to control things. But for me, I was just turned on by understanding that I had more control of my life than what I knew. You know what I mean?
People don't think that they have that much control.
Right, I didn't think that either. You know what I mean? Like, you just think you're a victim of, you know, coincidences or whatever. Go ahead.
Especially when you find out it's all on the same pole.
Right.
So that makes a big difference.
Right. And that the opposite is available. So whether it's real good for you right now, the opposite of being real bad is around the corner.
Right around the corner.
Right, you get what I'm saying? So if it's real bad for you, the opposite is around the corner of it being real good. Now, I think we do kind of know that a little bit because, you know, I've grown up around, you know, elders who would say to you, you know, when you're in your worst times, push through because it's something good that's about to come your way. Right around the corner, right?
Just hold on.
Yeah, just hold on. So that's dealing with these particular laws. Yeah, that's that polarity. That's their polarity. And I think if we did have deeper understandings on this, we could have a little bit more control. Now, of course, it's easier said than done. You know, like I try to practice the law of attraction and things like that. But I'm not a master at it. But I just like knowing that I do know I can practice this and try to get better.
Yeah, but have you tried practicing the law of attraction with the law of polarity?
I have not. I have not, because I didn't even know that those two existed. You know what I mean? I did not. So that'd be the next challenge. You know what I mean? Trying to remember these laws as well. You know.
Do you think it can make a difference?
I do. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I think any of the universal laws, if you can learn how to somehow practice them or master them, I think they make a difference. Because you're talking about attraction, compensation, karma, polarity, relativity. You understand what I mean? Like, there's no way that if you didn't learn how to use these properly, it wouldn't benefit you.
Yeah, I think it all works together to get to the biggest effect. I think you have to use them all together.
Right, right. And the law of attraction is probably the big dog of them. Like, all the rest of them have to fall under that.
Right.
You get what I mean? Because the law of attraction is just so powerful. You know, but yeah, I actually was a little disturbed when I learned about the law of attraction because it's a harsh reality when you have to face that, you know, some of the things that happen in your life, you did it. You brought it in. Yeah, you brought it in. Now that's easy to accept when it's good. Like, yeah, I did that. You know what I mean? Right. But then when it's bad, it's like, oh, I did this. Like, how did I do this? You know what I mean? How did I bring this into my world? How did I bring this crazy person into my life? You understand what I mean? How did I, you know, start this crazy relationship with my supervisor? You know what I mean? Like, somehow we caused some of that.
Not even knowing it.
Not even knowing it.
Yeah, but if you think about it, okay, think about when you use the law of attraction and you use it, okay, and it works to your benefit. And then, but remember, you get to the law of polarity too, because remember, in the back of your mind, you always keep like, this is going too good, like it's going too good, something's bad. True, like,
very true.
This is going too wild, like, so you kind of use.
And we have to stop doing that,
right? So
because I know I do that when it's going real good, you just in your mind, you like.
That bomb about to drop.
Right, like, man, I've been on this roller coaster for a month. I know something about to happen.
And since it's all on the same pole, like if you're using it, then of course it's going to come.
Right, here comes relativity and polarity. Right. You got to draw that in through the law of attraction, thinking that you're not worthy of this stand on this good plane, you know, for existence.
So you have to be careful with that now.
Right. And I know the law of attraction works. You know what I mean? Like, I've purposely used it. I just can't like master using it every time I want. You get what I'm saying? I've used it, and I'll be trying to think of my thought process at that time to see if I can go back and say, oh, this is what I did. You know what I mean? This is how I was thinking. But I ain't got it down to a science yet. But I know that it works. You know what I mean?
Even when you use it, like, let's say you go to the law of relativity, like, even when you use it, like, and when it works for you, like, are you still, like, at that point comparing it to something? To say, like, it's not good enough, or I need to get it better. Or,
good question.
Like,
right, good question. Good question.
Comparing it to something. Whereas
yeah, good question.
Like, this is where it needs to be, now I need to just go to phase 2 on it, instead of saying, like,
right,
I still need to get like 1 more inch first, and then I can move to phase tag, like.
Right, okay,
You know what I'm saying?
Right, yeah. Never being satisfied quite yet, right? Still, you still don't think you where you need to be, right? Yeah, got you.
Isn't that bad though, not ever being satisfied?
I don't know if it's bad. I think it depends on the situation it's applied to. You know what I mean? Because, like, I'm never satisfied with learning. I'm going to be learning the rest of my life. Like learning turns me on. I like it. You know what I mean? I like learning. I like constructive conversation. I am a student for life. And every day I wake up, I'm still learning. You know what I mean? So I can't imagine ever being satisfied because I will never know everything.
Right.
But I enjoy the whole ride of learning. And then I enjoy putting it out, you know, for you know, our communities and stuff for free. You know what I mean? Because it allows people who didn't have time to read that book, study that scholar, watch that video, and this can now spark them to say, you know, yeah, I heard this on the BBD radio show, I'm gonna check this out. You know, so yeah, I don't think I could ever be satisfied with learning. You know what I mean? Like, I love learning. Mr. Fuller taught me that. He has a saying where he says, I'm still learning. And he's 80-something years old. So every time someone says, how you doing today, Mr. Fuller? He says, I'm still learning. Yeah, I like that. And it's stolen. I'm using it here forward.
And he's coming for his check.
Hey, right? No doubt. Mr. Fuller, you better have a patent on it. Trademark something. Copyright it. But yeah, I like that. So I guess in some things you could be completely satisfied. Like, can you think of anything that you're completely satisfied with in your life?
No. I feel like there's always room for improvement.
Okay. What about you, Miss Janice?
I think I can think of a few things that I'm completely satisfied with.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean, I think I can think of a few things.
Okay. And I think those two different answers are very good at representing, you know, a different generation. You know what I mean? We're a little bit older than you. So Miss Janice in particular, you know, she can find some things that she's satisfied with. You being a millennial, you like, nah, not yet. So yeah, right. I think that's good because that means you're going to keep on working.
Right.
You know what I mean? To get where you need to be. So that was pretty cool. I like that because I'm the same way with her. Like, I can think of things that I'm satisfied with.
Right.
You know, but it's a bunch of other things I still want to do better at. You know what I mean? I'm still learning. That's me. Okay, so the law of polarity is interesting. For those who don't know, I mentioned the book Napoleon Hill. Mr. Hill's not paying me any money to say this, and he's dead. He's not even exist no more. But Food for Thought is an interesting book. It's called Think and Grow Rich, and they used his quote from out of his book. I like it. You know, there's some things in that book that I find interesting, and it does deal with a little bit of universal law. So that's just a little food for thought on that. So let's keep this moving here, and we'll wrap this up here soon. All right, so it says, an understanding of the principle will enable one to change his own polarity as well as that of others if he will devote the time and study necessary to master the art. Mastery of the law of polarity requires learning how to maintain balance, focus, and detachment from distractive of the material world. Now, I'm big on that. I'm real big on that because I figured out a long time ago that within this society, with black people in particular, we are being bombarded with things to distract us, keep us occupied. Now, I'm a victim of it just like everybody else, you know what I mean? But I did figure out I got to be able to take time to do things for myself, right? Things I'm interested in. I'm not going to every bar. I'm not going to every party that gets thrown. Like, I don't have an interest in that. I'm trying to better my life. So any time I take out to do that is a good thing, because the reality is the society teaches you, okay, you know, you go to work, you take care of the kids, you come home, you eat food, you go to church on Sunday, you watch TV. That's pretty much it. Like, I think it convinces us not to continue to learn. It's not a lot of people taking their spare time and learning, right? So when I look at the time that I spent in college, right? Okay, a class might have been on Tuesdays and Fridays, right? So the class is for an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes, right? I show up for that because they told me I need to be here for that. But the reality is, I figured out I can do that in my own life, you know, because with college, that Tuesday and Friday will give you enough teachings and learnings to pass that class. But what if I did that with my life? What if I said in my life on Tuesdays and Fridays, I'm not available from 9:35. You know what I'm saying?
Who's making that plan?
Right, that's what I'm saying. You're being distracted where you never even consider that until someone says to you, like with college, you need to be here at this time and you stay here until this time and you leave. But you can really do that on your own with anything that you choose to study. You can say, Tuesdays and Fridays I'm in class. Like, I've said that to people before. And they like, you in class? I'm like, yeah. Like, where you go to school at? Home. Home. I'm in class at home. What kind of look did you get when you said that? Why can't I take an hour and a half out of Tuesday and Friday to work on something that's going to better my life?
Yeah, because somewhat even, like you said, even that's still kind of a distraction in the material world,
right?
Or whatever. Even still, if you in class or whatever, because there's still other people there, so you're still listening to, you know, other people live. You're still hearing a lot of stuff, so it's still a distraction or whatever. Versus being at home.
But you learn it, right? Yeah.
At home,
right? Home is better for me, right? But at least in that class, everybody's coming there on that motive, like we're here to learn. You know what I mean? But yeah, home works better for me. But you get what I'm saying? I think it's like a trick where we're not realizing that we don't need someone to tell us show up here every day. You could go to the library on Tuesdays and Fridays. You know, Barnes and Nobles, copy. Yeah. You get what I'm saying?
Whatever works
just food
better.
for thought.
Whatever works better.
Whatever works better for you, right? But that's what it's saying: balance, focus, and detachment from the distractions of the material world. And that's easier said than done.
I was going to say that's the hard part.
That is
distraction from the material world.
And I noticed that's why they use the word mastery, right? If you want to master,
how the hell do you do that?
Right? It's difficult. It's difficult. Right. But if you take the approach, like I said, pretend that you're in college, right? But you home and you say Tuesdays and Fridays I read a book for an hour and a half. How much is that really taking out of your day? It's really not taking a lot. But what would it do for your life though? What would it do for your life though?
Make it better.
Okay, just remember,
as long as you're not reading love novels.
I was going to say, just remember when you're home, you know, doing that studying too, you have to turn off your phone.
Right.
Get away from all social media.
Last second.
When you think about it, like you could be sitting at home killing 2 hours and doing absolutely nothing.
So
is this the last segment, Nate?
That's a lot of distraction.
No, you have one more after this one. I'm sorry.
Copy.
So.
Yeah, but you get what I'm saying, right? That's interesting, right? Food for thought. So I just started doing that with my own time. You know, taking control of my time. You know, taking control of my time. But we're gonna come back and wrap this up. This is our last break. Stay with us. We did universal laws today, relativity and polarity. We'll be back. Black Body Man Radio Show.
At the end of this, I really liked the
Exposed Radio.
Well, if you made them, take care of them.
Yeah, that's the real.
Right.
That's the real deal.
It's period.
Right. And all that old money shouldn't go toward this, money should go to. If the child is with one of the parents 24/7, 7 days a week, you don't even come get your child every day. You come get your child once a month maybe, or once every 3 months.
Right.
You cannot dictate where that money goes, especially if the child ain't calling you about nothing. Now, if the child calling you every week, then you can question about where the child support is going. But if every time you pick up the child, they look nice, they ain't complaining about nothing, why are you worrying about where the money go at?
It is what it is. Radio show.
Join the club that gives you stuff.
Hey, thanks!
Radio Loyalty.
Here's how it works.
Just click on the Radio Loyalty banner right now and sign up. Then you keep on listening like you already do. But now you earn points. Those points add up, and you can trade them in for stuff in the Radio Loyalty store. Earn more points by sharing your station with friends on Facebook and Twitter, answering surveys, and by using the apps in the New Players App Store. Pretty simple, right?
Radio Loyalty.
Click that banner to join now.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
I think we back on. All right, everybody, we are at the end of our segment. We're finishing up on today's universal laws. And again, this was a request that we got through email. And if you have a topic you'd like to see us do on the show, we love to hear from our audience members. You can email us at blackbydemand, the letter 4, the blah, 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 blah. Let me try this again. blackbydemand4u at gmail. So that's blackbydemand, the number 4, the letter U, at gmail. Email us comments about shows. Email us about topics you'd like to see us discuss, because our whole purpose is to bring knowledge and info on things that you won't catch anywhere else. So if you got anything you want to see discussed, hit us up, blackbydemand4u at gmail. So today's show was 2 universal laws, the law of relativity and the law of polarity. And I think we all learned a few things today. Right?
Yes.
This was pretty cool. And it goes back to, understanding control. We got more control than we think. And again, I'm far from a master of it. I'm just a student, but I like it. I like it. So do you ladies think you're going to try to be a little more conscious of this law?
Absolutely.
The end game for polarity is balance, focus, and detachment from distractions. And that detachment from distractions, that's a big one. Because this whole society is designed to distract you. Everything. Yeah. They tap it into your fun side. They just want you having fun all the time. They don't want you sitting home for an hour and a half on Tuesdays, reading a book that's going to better your life. They want you having fun. Why you sitting in this house, girl? It's nice out. But you can always be like, I'll be out. Just give me an hour and a half. You know what I mean? I get there. So, food for thought.
Definitely.
Y'all enjoyed it?
Yes.
Good conversation.
Yeah, I like it. I hope everybody out there who tuned in with us today enjoyed this show, Universal Laws. And, we'll do another show. We'll come back with another universal law, because evidently the audience is loving these universal laws. I'm sure it's new to a lot of people who tune in, which is cool. That's what we want. We want to disclose information that people might not even thought about before, and then I love empowering people,
It can help you get control over your
life. Right, get control of your life, get control of your situation. But it also deals with taking responsibility. Now that's a tough pill to swallow right there. Yeah. Deals with taking a little responsibility.
And also changing up a little bit the way you think.
True. Well, that's the essence of all of them, pretty much, right? They all deal with your thought process, no matter which law it is, So that's probably something universal in itself, your whole mind, controlling the mind. Okay, that's what's up. Time check, Nate.
3 minutes.
Copy. Yeah, so we'll do a quick review. Relativity deals with a series of problems and tests and lessons for the purpose of strengthening the light within each of us, right? to be a challenge and remain connected to our hearts when proceeding to solve problems. This law teaches us to compare our own problem to other problems to get into its proper perspective. So law of relativity is saying when you compare it to other problems, it'll help you have proper perspective. You know, rather that perspective is you doing better or worse, I guess is individualized.
Right.
You know, but that's where we're getting the relative perspective from.
And it's to say to be more aware of what you're comparing it to.
That's me.
Right.
Yeah. Who you compare it to.
Right. That's a big factor in it all. So stop comparing it to, I don't know, they're going over the top with these comparisons.
Right.
But is it better to compare it to somebody doing better or worse? That's the question, I guess, is what you should be referring to.
But you will have to establish if they're doing better or worse. Better or worse in what way?
Right.
Right.
So it's hard to stop.
And how it affects you.
Right.
Because if you compare it to someone doing better, right, what does that put in you? Does it put drive in you or does it put jealousy in you? You get what I'm saying? If you compare it to somebody worse, does it put compassion in you or does it put, what's the word I'm looking for? Braggadocious. Yes, I mean, I don't know. Does it put, you know, were you feeling above someone else? Yeah, so it's tricky. It's tricky, right? It can be a little tricky.
Because it's hard, and it's hard to determine. It's still hard to determine, to actually determine if, you know, the situation is doing better than your situation.
Right.
Of course, if you look at it on, say, like if you look at it on a health end, is it better? If you look at it on a money end, is it better? But you have to look at it.
Copy.
At more than just one thing to figure out if the situation is better than yours.
Right.
You can't just look at it.
And that health perspective is interesting.
Because most of the time people
we didn't tap on that.
Yeah, most of the time people look at something money-wise and be like, "Oh, it's better than me." And
right.
You can't.
True.
That's the majority of our comparison.
Yeah, and you can't determine your situation from that. You really can't.
Right, because what if the person has money, but they also have a disease that's hampering them from doing certain things in life? They might be willing to trade that money in just to be your poor ass. You know what I mean? Because hey, at least you healthy. Yeah, at least you healthy, right? At least you healthy.
Just to be on the level of rich that I am. They
Right.
may be willing to trade it for that.
Right.
You don't necessarily have to be poor.
Spiritually rich,
Just the level of
mentally rich, right?
Yeah.
Rich
So
with
what we
knowledge.
learned today, Janice is hella rich.
Janice is rich. The lovely Miss Janice is rich.
She's hella rich.
She got it going on.
They're out there.
Stacy's mom. Stacy's mom. Got it going on. You know what I mean? All right, that's what's up. Well, thanks to everybody tuning in with us today. Like I said, I hope you guys had a good time. And thank you to my team. Thank you to my co-host, the lovely Miss Janice. Our awesome team member, Miss Samantha Glam by Sam. Appreciate y'all ladies coming out with me as usual and chopping it up. And we're going to continue to try to bring y'all some great shows. Like I said, email us if you have ideas about shows you want to see. blackbodyman4u@gmail. And as always, I'm your boy. I'm your host, Brother Mike. I'll catch you on the flip side, black side. Peace. Word up.
Check out what you missed on the Be Inspired Radio Show.
3 years doing anything, especially when you're like a fish out of water when you start something and doing something like radio or media or you know anything like this.